Hello? 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 One, two.
Oh, okay. Or we can put it back here.
Oh yeah, that's perfect.
I'm gonna give you over the. You can.
Okay. It's small.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. It's really, really weird. Apparently, that one is there, and there was a second one in the drawer. So I was like, "What in the name of Jehoshaphat?"
Used to open this. I don't know what they did. I don't know why. This key used to open, lock this and open and lock it though. I don't know what happened. I know in the ed building my key did everything.
Right. Well, you know what? You might want to keep this one in the office because I know that that one works.
Does this
So
one work?
I don't know. I use this one.
Let's do it.
This one turned it on.
All right, I'll put this in the
I just need to get signed in so I can get everything on screen.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's what I did. My bad. All right.
Okay, it is a little warm in here. Just flick the switches up, right? Cool. There is a squirrel. There are squirrels. Huh? Okay, well, we're just going to do some of the rudimentary housekeeping as far as email address and stuff like that. And then once I get the, yep. No. Thank you. No, no. I mean, no, I just have this, like, yeah. Because essentially I'm just going to have to hit the enter key, so it's not really, it's no real biggie. Okay, I just passed it. No, we're not going through all of that. Don't worry, you're not getting a quiz. Okay. Interesting. I'm like hearing myself repeat myself. The delay, yeah.
Good morning. Ready for your food handler safety class?
I have to make sure I type the secondary address in right. Apparently, that one is. I know. Do not put wash me on there.
On it.
You know what? You've. I swear I can't. I can't with you today. I can't with you today.
So you ladies are actually participating in our first streaming class. So we're actually streaming this class to another location. So hopefully, as we continue to do this, we'll be able to offer our trainings while you're still in another location, maybe at home or whatever. You can sit at your computer and engage in the trainings while you're at home or at your job or wherever. Yeah.
Okay. So on your outline sheet, the very first sheet, write these 2 email addresses, please. Okay. And the reason why I'm giving you 2 of them, they're still working on some of my authorizations since I wasn't here for the summertime, so some things were switched off. So, so that I know that I get proper communication from you and I can communicate back. That is my CUNY email at the top. That is my business email underneath. Okay? So, after today's class session, our second session will be next Saturday morning at 10 a.m. in this room. Okay? Send me an email today after class so that you can receive your notes. All right? Everything is prepared for all of you. Your notes, your study guide for taking the test, as well as the manual for the health department. Okay? I have all of that ready and to go so that everyone has the same exact information. Just send me an email and I'll get that sent out to you. Okay? So let's do some housekeeping really quick. Has everyone signed in? Okay? Do me a favor. Cell phones on vibrate, please. Okay? I hate hearing a cell phone ring, and actually, I'm going to put this watch on vibrate because, oh no, I pinged my phone, sorry. Because 9 times out of 10, one of my children is going to wind up bothering me this morning, even they know that I'm in session. Of course, they will be ignored until we're done in the afternoon. Okay? So, we're going to go until 12:30. We'll take a break for half an hour, and we're going to resume at 1, and we'll conclude at 3:30. Okay? I know it's a long day. Part of this is to fulfill your 10-hour requirement, but as well, there's a lot of information that we have to cover today and for next week. So we have 3 units today. We have 3 units next week. Okay? First thing first, do not worry about taking the test. It is not hard. Okay? A great deal of it is common sense. However, the reason why we have this class here for all of you is the fact that most of you are probably not experienced in, proper food handling. You're probably not experienced in the restaurant industry, okay? The health department does not necessarily want their mentality is if it's not broke, don't fix it. So even though they now require child care facilities to have someone who is certified, they're not going to write a whole new course geared specifically towards, child care, okay? The main reason being that they are requiring this, and I'm kind of like, yay, thank God they're doing this, because I think back when I was in daycare as a kid, there weren't those standards and practices, pretty much to make sure that children don't get sick from the food that they eat, that they don't get sick off of touching, a surface that hasn't been properly cleaned or sanitized, and of that particular nature, okay? Can everybody see this relatively okay? All right, if not, we'll take a couple of the bays of the lights down, just to darken the front. All right? So, to give you a little bit of background about myself, my name is Larry Purvis. I'm a graduate of Johnson & Wales University, class of 19. I've been in a restaurant. I'm a chef by trade. I've been in the restaurant business for almost 30 years. Currently, I work for Dinosaur Barbecue and I also work as a private chef. I've had, oh wow, I've had my certification since 2001, actually. And like I said, it's not a, difficult test to take. A lot of it is common sense. You just have to really just go through the information to absorb it and understand it, okay? I will not lie to you. There are some things that will gross you out, okay? If you have a weak stomach, you can go to the bathroom, handle it, but we're going to be, we're going to be 100% accurate. We're going to be 100% real because, quite honestly, we have to be. This will also really make you think about things when you go out to eat on your own. It will make you think about how you prepare and care for food at home. It will really, really make you observant, especially when you're out in the public. Okay? So that is a good thing. Good morning. Sign in and grab a packet, please.
No, he's still here. Okay.
Larry? R-R-Y. Last name P. U-R-V-I-S. Food safety course, food protection course. Safety.
Teacher in food.
Food safety instructor.
So, Larry, you have another audience, that's number one, at the streaming site. And for some reason, they can't see what's on the screen. Maybe if I shut these lights off, they might be able to see it.
Okay.
But if you can send a alert to them and to the other site, because you are teaching two sites.
Okay.
And if you can tell them your information, because for some reason they can't see the screen.
Okay.
On the team,
I'll fix it.
you fixed it?
I'm working on it. I'm checking.
All right. So.
Okay, so I have my class here to my class out there on the web. How are you this morning? Good morning. Hopefully this will be a very, very informative for everyone out there as well. Okay, so I know you guys are having issues seeing the screen, so we're going to try to adjust the lighting a little bit so that you can. Okay? All right, now I'm trying to remember how these... Good? Oh, what did that turn off? No, they can't see the screen, or they can't see us. Yeah.
Can you see a little bit?
No, he's using that one.
Oh no, that's
Although, you know what? Hold on. This is, yeah. Give me 1 second. Three, that's,
Oh, you mean for this? Okay, 1 second. Okay, hold on a second. Let me check. I check it.
ask him how this is.
I'll give it up.
Yes, James. So we need a close shot to zoom in on the screen. Oh, sorry. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Okay. All right.
Can I open from a back?
How are you? Good. Um, sign in here, please, and grab a packet, okay? We'll resume in a moment. Technical difficulties.
Welcome to the world of technology. It's a blessing and a curse, but you'll get everything you need from Professor Purvis in order for you to navigate the school handling and food safety training course, the exam. So don't worry, we got you. Good morning. Just have a seat. Did you sign in?
They're going to get this information on the other end, too, yes? Okay. Okay. Well, what happened? There we go.
No, no, no. You know what? Actually, I did because I was checking, but you are using already dual display.
Well, is there, I mean, there's a way to zoom in to make that larger, right? No, no, no. I'm aware of that.
I love this.
And they can hear you as well because I'm mic'd, so they hear you talking to me.
Okay, go on this.
This,
Next setting.
this one.
The gear, yeah.
Whoa, the settings.
Go to PTZ.
Cool. Position. Oh, PTC. Oh, wait, zoom. That's not good enough?
And pull up. Make it green.
Sorry. There we go.
Come on in. Sign in here, please, and grab a packet. Thank you. Okay, so I'm going to finish the syllabi in. Okay. Okay, so everybody that's watching the live stream right now, you are going to receive a packet of information which will basically tell you how to access the Department of Health website to prepare for your exam. Okay? So to everyone here and out there, to help you prepare for your certification exam, the Department of Health has an online training course which runs along with what we're going to be talking about in class here. Okay? The cost of your certification exam is $24.60. It's only payable by credit card or debit card or online check. They will not accept cash at the Health Academy. They will not accept checks or money orders at the Health Academy. Okay? In order to take the exam, you have to do that payment online first, and then you're going to get a confirmation code, and then you'll be allowed to schedule your exam. Okay? You can schedule that exam at your leisure. You know, so after we're done with this, you know, after we're done next week with the class, if you want to decide to take, let's say, 2 weeks and, you know, and study up a little more before you schedule and take your exam, you're more than welcome to. Okay? So, to register for the online review and test, go to the New York City Department of Health and Mental Hygiene website. Click on the link for food safety certification. It's located on the left side of the screen, just below the link for HealthBucks. Okay? There's going to be a teal colored link that says free online food protection course. On the next screen, you can choose English or Spanish. This is going to bring you to the option screen for completing the online component. Now, you're going to have to do a new registration, okay? It will ask you, name, address, email, social security number, things of that particular nature. When you complete that registration, it's going to immediately send a message to your email inbox within 2 minutes. Print out the details from the screen, print out a copy of that email, print out at least 3 copies of that email, because that's going to have your username and a verification number. Okay? That will allow you to get into the system to do the online modules. Okay? If you don't have that, you won't be able to get in to do the online modules. All right? The modules are time sensitive. Some of them will take you a few minutes to complete. Some of them will take you longer. Okay? You'll find as you go through them, along with what we discuss here in our classroom session, some of the things will be a bit repetitive, but they'll be easy. It'll become second nature, and you'll absorb it a lot quicker. Okay? Sometimes those screens will take a little bit longer, but at the end of each module, there's going to be a short quiz. Very, very simple, but sometimes it may not let you go to the quiz right away. If you look at the very bottom of the screen, you're going to see a line of text about this small that's going to say that you finished too quickly. Okay? So, go back, wait a few minutes, click on next again, and it should take you after about 5 minutes or so to allow you to take the quiz. Like I said, it's not for every module, but some of the larger modules, they are kind of time sensitive. Okay? So, once you've completed each lesson, you take the quiz. After you take the quiz, you're going to get a notice that says that you've completed the course. All right? Follow the instructions on the screen to register for the test. You can only register for the test once you have completed the online review. Print out your confirmation page for completing the online modules and for taking the test at least 3 times. Put one in your bag, put the other 2 somewhere in the house. Okay? Trust me on this, because you will need a copy of that confirmation when you go to take the test at the Health Academy. Okay? If you don't have it, they won't be able to verify you're you. All right? Schedule your test date. Good luck. The minimum passing score is 70. I know that everyone here will get 100. Right? Yes? I know everyone out there will get 100. Very, very simple, easy test. A lot of it really is just common sense, okay? There are going to be a number of details that you do need to know, but it's not necessarily heavy, okay? So good luck. I know you guys can do it. Are we ready? Okay, cool. All right, so moving right along. Yes. Yes. After you complete the course and the online modules, you can register to take the test at the Health Academy. All right. The Health Academy is in the West 90s. All right. They'll have all the information that you need on the website as far as how to get there. And as I said, you can schedule the test at your leisure. All right. You can take the test actually in English, Spanish, Korean, and Bengali. All right. Hi. Come on in, sign in, and have one of these. Have a seat, okay? You're welcome. So, what is food safety? Food safety begins with the health code. All right? The health code basically are rules and regulations that allow the Department of Health and Mental Hygiene to effectively protect the health of the population. This is under Article 81, specifically regulates the operation of food establishments for the purpose of preventing public health hazards. Okay, in recent years, of course, in several different types of industry that serve and handle food, this has been expanded. Some of you may ask, well, why would I need this in a childcare environment? Main reason being, you have large daycares that may have their own production kitchens for, making breakfast and lunch and snacks for the children. You may have a smaller operation where either you're outsourcing your meals from a meal preparation company or the parents are providing the meals and snacks for the children. Their main concern is the safety of the children to make sure that they don't get sick. So in essence, they want to make sure that there are people trained as far as how to properly reheat food, how to properly cool food, how to properly store food, okay? And it's not just what you eat, it's also what you drink. For instance, true or false? By show of hands, ice is considered food. How many people say true? By show of hands. How many people say false? Okay, ice is considered food. How many people say true? How many people say false? How many people say false? Raise your hand. Okay, guess what? It's true. Ice is considered food. Okay, we put it in a drink, and what happens? We drink that beverage, and of course, the ice does what? The ice melts, right? We wind up drinking the thawed-out liquid. Okay, so some things to remember. And this will apply to your daycare facility, okay? Just like food service establishment, any establishment or entity that serves or sells food has to have a current and valid permit issued by the Department of Health and Mental Hygiene. How are you? Sign in, please. Thank you. Health inspectors have the right to inspect your facility during your hours of operation as long as you are open. Okay, so if you shut your daycare center down, let's say you have slightly extended hours for working parents and you shut down at 7:30 p.m., if the inspector shows up at 7:29 and says, I'm here to inspect the premises, guess what? They're going to conduct their inspection. Okay? They cannot show up before you open. They cannot show up after you close. All health inspectors must be given full access to all areas of the establishment during the inspection. 9 times out of 10, they're going to start usually in the food prep or food storage areas. Okay? If your facility has a small kitchen, they're immediately going there. Health inspectors are not required or allowed to collect permit fees or fines on behalf of the health department. Okay? They're there to inspect. They are there to evaluate, they're there to advise, and they are there essentially to document and report, okay? If they tell you, well, okay, I'm assessing you X amount of points, it's gonna be this type of fine, and you can, write me a check now, say, okay, give me a moment, go into your office, call the police. Okay, point blank. They're not allowed to collect any type of fees or fines against the business due to their inspection. Okay, that is a separate process that occurs through the main offices of the Department of Health Usually you go in for what's called the tribunal. They look at the inspection report and the steps that, the advisement that the inspector gave to correct the action. All right? Yes? Yes, this is going to be in your notes. So like I said, at the end of class, send me an email. All of this information will be contained in. Okay, I've prepared all of that information for you. Yes, do not write, look at me, look at the screen. Actively ask questions. If we had two-way communication to the other side, I would love to, welcome your questions. If there's a way we can do that, it would be cool. All right, so health inspectors must show their Department of Health ID and their badge. They have a badge. If they just show you an ID, do not accept it without them showing you the badge as well. Request to see the badge. That means they are valid, okay? Generally, your manager, a supervisor is going to be in charge of the establishment. They should definitely have a certification, okay? Someone on site that does not necessarily work in a management or supervisory capacity should also have a certification, okay? So this is very, very important. If someone does not have their food handler's certificate, essentially the inspection cannot be conducted and it's considered an instant fail. Okay? Can you sign in, please? Thank you. All right? As it states, any and all managers and supervisors are required to have a food certificate. So, now, one thing I want you to get out of your minds real quick, there is no such thing as food poisoning, okay? Because in general, enough of us has probably watched murder mystery movies and things of that particular nature. What usually happens when someone ingests poison? Bingo, they die, okay? You have foodborne illness and foodborne intoxication, okay? Food poisoning is, in theory, non-existent because not too many people wind up dying from eating something contaminated, within reason, okay? So, any illness that is caused by food, whether the food is contaminated through cooking or whether it is ready-to-eat food that has been contaminated, okay? What do I mean by ready-to-eat food? What do I mean by ready-to-eat food? Almost every single person in this room has some type of ready-to-eat food first thing in the morning. Bread, pastries, cereals, okay, fruit. Oatmeal, not necessarily. However, there is an opportunity for contamination, okay? As I said, all right, you may get a little squeamish with some of the things that we talk about. But yeah, actually, oatmeal is potentially hazardous if it's not handled and if it's not prepared and handled correctly, okay? So, the level of illness as far as foodborne illness can be minor, major, or lethal. Out of curiosity, does any, as it states, you have two general types. One is an isolated incident, only involves one individual. Okay? This could be you cooking in your home. This could be you on the run, and maybe somebody was a little bit careless at the coffee stand, right? Your coffee was fine, but maybe the bagel, they handled it with their bare hands, and they didn't wash their hands properly, and a few hours later, you're kind of like, ooh, I feel kind of squeamish, what's going on? You have stomach upset, you have vomiting, you have diarrhea. Whoa, okay, what just happened? All right? If it's only you, isolated incident. 2 incidents or more is considered an outbreak. All right? How many people here travel? By show of hands, how many people travel? Plane? Train? Bus? Cruise ship? Okay? Does anyone here know? Let me close this door really quick, sorry. Okay, so in the last, let's say, 5 to 6 months, we've seen a few stories about people contracting norovirus, yes? Okay? Cruise ship that was going to the Caribbean. I believe it's going to the Bahamas. They couldn't dock into port because apparently like 200 or so people were sick that first day, and then the next morning 2,000 people were sick. Okay? That was from the norovirus. Does anybody know how we get the norovirus? Okay. Someone goes, uses the bathroom, has to poop, and they do not properly wash their hands. So, there are traces of feces on their hands, okay? They touch a doorknob to go out of the bathroom. They may, scratch their face, scratch their hair, walk up to somebody, hey, how's it going? How you doing? Okay? Touch, 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 touch. Guess what? Bacteria, 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 virus all over the place. Okay? The onset is relatively fast. Generally, some of them minimum 12 hours, 12 to 14 hours, some minimum 15 hours, depending on the scenario, depending on the bacterial transmission. Okay? However, it can ruin your trip if you're on a cruise ship or even a plane and you're traveling and, you encounter someone that had norovirus or another sickness, it can make for an unhappy time. All right? Most common causes. Number one cause of someone getting sick from contaminated food is because one of the workers was sick. If you have a sick employee in your daycare, send them home. Tell them go to a doctor. Okay? We have plenty of provisions for sick days. They're not going to lose money. Okay? Say, hey, you know what? I will put you down for a sick day, so that payroll will cover it. But please go to a doctor, get yourself checked out, make sure that you are well, especially in a child care environment because children are considered part of what's a select group, okay? What is different with children than us as adults? Besides their young age, what do they have that's underdeveloped? Immune systems, exactly, okay? And nowadays, we have protective parents. I'm no longer overprotective parent because mine are almost grown. But, when they were little children, you watch everything very, very carefully. But, there are a few of you here where I know in our generation when we were younger, we were allowed to go play in the dirt. You made mud pies. You got kind of curious as a toddler. You tasted the mud. Does that happen nowadays? Nope. Right? Because everything is no, that has germs, that has this, that has that. In some instances, yes, it is good to be exposed to that bacteria and things of that nature. And in some instances, of course, it's bad. But that helps to build the immune system, right? So, poor personal hygiene or bare hand contact. If you're preparing a salad, if you're handling bread and pastries, anything that does not need to be cooked, fruit, vegetables, carrot sticks, and things of that particular nature, make sure you have on gloves. Wash and dry your hands thoroughly before putting the gloves on. Change the gloves often. Before you change to a new set of gloves, what should you do again? Wash your hands. Okay? This is the number one culprit. Even though we have all of these contributing factors, the number one culprit of bacterial and virus transmission, your hands. All right? Improper holding temperatures. We're going to talk about that. There's a certain temperature where hot foods should be held. There's a certain temperature where cold foods should be held to prevent bacterial growth. Improper cooling, inadequate cooking, and reheating. Okay? How many people here like medium rare steak? Okay? Yeah, medium well, not necessarily well done. There are aesthetic reasons. There are taste reasons. Okay? I know for a while someone was circulating, on the internet, photographs of, a rare steak, a medium rare steak, and they put risk of food poisoning, it's not necessarily a risk of food poisoning if you're cooking it and holding it properly and consuming it right away, okay? This will also help to, open your minds to how things are, prepared and cooked. Cross-contamination, which is a big one, okay? I can guarantee you now, almost everyone here, including myself, in some means has cross-contaminated something through their daily life. You may not have consciously thought about it, okay? From this point on, I guarantee you, you will, all right? Use of food from unknown sources. You cannot do that in your business, okay? If you have a kitchen in your daycare center, you have to basically purchase food from a reputable supplier or suppliers or vendors that are certified by the Department of Health. Okay? If they are not certified and reputable, you cannot accept that product within your facility for use. All right? Chemicals and foreign objects. Big issue, easily controllable. okay? However, some of you have probably seen there have been, recalls of chicken nuggets and things of that particular nature. Most things you can control, sometimes some things you can't control. Generally, in those instances, it was more of, equipment failure, things of that particular nature, because most of these companies, Tyson and Purdue and, what is that? Not Apple and Eve. What's the one company that produces the squeeze fruit for the kids? Things like Nature's Go or something like that. They had an incident where some of the children got sick, some of the lots were contaminated, and then it turned out that one of the gaskets on the extruder hadn't been properly cleaned. Okay? Yes? This side? Okay. My directors are telling me, stage left. All right? So, who is at risk for foodborne illness? Everyone. Everyone here, everyone out there, everyone that goes into a restaurant, fast food joint, grocery store, bodega, you name it, you're all at risk, okay? Because it's about the safe and sanitary practices, all right? Severely affected groups, of course, as we just said, children with undeveloped immune systems, elderly individuals due to age, pregnant women, okay? She is with child, the hormonal balances are different, right? And things of that particular nature. There's a threat not only to the mother, but also to the fetus, all right? Individuals that have compromised immune systems. AIDS patients, people that have cancer, people that have diabetics, type 1 and type 2, okay? And then anyone else that may have, immune issues or, diseases, okay? Individuals that are on medication regimens, all right? Just because you're being medicated, certain medicines affect the immune system differently, okay? Antibiotics, cancer patients on chemotherapy, and immunosuppressants. Those are mainly used for people that have had, surgery, and anti-rejection drugs, okay? However, women that go through menopause, you start doing HRT, the HRT affects your immune system. Men that go on testosterone therapy as they get older, okay? The testosterone affects the immune system. It weakens the immune system. Just out of curiosity, how many people here drink bottled water, by show of hands? Okay? Are we doing Poland Spring, or are we going vapor distilled? And this is not an advertisement, it's just a fact. Poland Spring, filtered tap water, reprocessed water like Dasani and Aquafina. Okay, so reprocessed water, vapor distilled water, good. Spring water, bad. Highly acidic, okay? It weakens the immune system. All right, so what is food? We love food, don't we? Right? We love food. Makes you feel good, of course. You need food to live, right? We all have our favorite dishes and things of that particular nature. We have our comfort foods, How many people here like mac and cheese? Mashed potatoes? Arroz con gandules? Right? Okay? No, not being funny. Penin, please. All right? My other half is Mexican. Forget it. Which is why I still look like this. So, food is any edible substance, ice, beverage, or ingredient intended for the use or used and sold for human consumption. You have two types of food. Essentially, the first is your PHF, or your potentially hazardous food. All foods that provide suitable conditions for rapid growth of microorganisms. Second class, we already mentioned before, your ready-to-eat foods. All food products that do not require any additional cooking or washing. Strict precautions are necessary with the handling of ready-to-eat foods. As it says right there in big bold print, remember, all foods prior to cooking or handling are considered to be potentially hazardous. These are your potentially hazardous foods. All of this is in your notes, okay? Highlighting meats, poultry, fish, shellfish, milk, butter, cheese, cream, eggs, cooked rice and pasta, which some people will say, what? Raw and cooked vegetables and plant proteins. Why? Bacterial growth, other factors with handling, okay? For instance, would you eat undercooked chicken or pork? No. Okay? Why? Salmonella, trichinosis, all right? How many people here go to Spanish restaurants? All right? Quick meal, moderately priced, good food, yes? I can guarantee you next time you're going to tell them to give you your rice or pasta from the bottom of the container. Because generally, if you get there relatively early, what happens? You see the steam tables, you see all the steam coming out. So yes, they are making, efforts to keep the food properly hot. But generally, don't you see a mound of rice above the top of that counter? 5, 6, 7, 8 inches high? I can guarantee you all of that product teeming with bacteria, even though you see steam coming up, okay? If your pan is 6 inches deep, should that product come an inch over the 6 inches? No. Okay? It should be a quarter of an inch lower than the top of that pan. They should be trying to cover it to preserve the heat. Okay? Basically, think of the principle when they say, when you go outside without wearing a hat in the winter, the heat escapes from your head. That's actually not true. All right? But in the instance of keeping food hot, if you are not covering it to keep the heat in, the heat is escaping, no matter how strong or powerful that steam table or hot holding unit is. Okay? Raw and cooked vegetables, plant proteins, raw vegetables, number one way to get sick, if the raw vegetables have not been properly what? Washed, exactly. Okay? You have vegetable washes out there that are perfect for commercial use and home use. Okay? Make sure, of course, you follow the instructions on the packaging and use them properly. All right? We were talking about oatmeal. Oatmeal kind of falls into the classification of cooked rice and pasta. Okay? You want to make sure that you're preparing it well, that you're cooking it properly and holding it well. And then whatever is unused, either cool it down and get it into refrigeration right away or dispose of it. Yes? Yes. You can, but generally they've actually been washed in a vegetable wash, okay? And the Department of Agriculture, the USDA, and the health departments actually have to certify those facilities. However, as we've seen, a few times over recent years, there's been either E. coli or another type of infection that has occurred, primarily in romaine lettuce. And part of that is under the control of the facility. The other part is not. When they actually did the testing, they found that it came from bird feces, okay? Now, unless you're going to screen your entire farm, unfortunately, we can't help it if a hawk or a pigeon or, something else flies over the field. Part of that, they will say, well, they should be responsible because their pickers and their harvesters, are handling the product and gathering it from the field. Yes, but you're not going to inspect every last leaf. Okay? There are going to be instances where things fall through the cracks. However, if you're practicing and utilizing sanitary practices, you're going to limit an opportunity like that to happen. Okay? Yes?
There's a maximum weight in the shop mushroom.
Mm-hmm.
So it's necessary to wash mushroom or directly we can't.
Mushrooms, you don't really wash mushrooms because mushrooms have a lot of water in them and they hold, and they absorb a lot of water. What you do want to do is you want to take a damp cloth, okay, rub the caps and rub the stems to get any of the dirt that's off of them.
And mushroom have two parts. There's the upper part and the under part.
Yeah, you have the cap and the stem and then you have the fins underneath.
Yes, the black one good for eat.
The stems? Yeah. Mm-hmm. Right. No. It's perfectly fine, but you also need to be aware of the variety of mushrooms as well. Yes? Yes. Sorry about that. Yep. Yes, we were talking about the salad in the bags that you buy in the grocery store. Are they safe to eat? Do you need to rewash them? In most cases, you don't need to. It's personal preference. Okay? So, temperature danger zone, and this is very, very important. Essentially, this is established by the Food and Drug Administration. Every state has a different temperature danger zone, but it's within this guideline. Okay? So for New York, 41 degrees low end, 140 degrees high end. Okay? Some of you that may live in another state may see 145 degrees, may see 45 to 145. Okay? Generally, it depends on location, it depends on altitude, and several other factors. In New York, 41 degrees to 140. That is the temperature danger zone. That is basically when bacteria say, ooh, wait a second, I'm feeling kind of good. It's time to party. It's time to have some fun. It's time to get people sick. Do we want that to happen? Okay, especially when we're, working and looking after, Tommy and Susie and, Diane and Jamal and stuff like that. We do not want these children, when they're in our care, we do not want them to get sick. Okay? So, essentially several ways of accomplishing this. First and foremost, using a thermometer. Okay? Thermometers are used to check hot foods to make sure that they've been properly cooked to the proper cooking temperature. They're also used to make sure that they're being held at the proper temperature, as well as cold foods, making sure that those cold foods are 41 degrees or below. Okay, I always say below 41 degrees, and making sure that they stay below 41 degrees. Okay, can anybody guess what's the most dangerous spot in your kitchen? Why do you say the refrigerator? Bingo. Exactly. The refrigerator is the most dangerous spot in the kitchen simply because what happens over the course of the day? All right? We go up to the fridge, unless you know exactly what you want at that moment. Generally, what do? We open the refrigerator door, we stand there, we look, we shuffle a few things around, right? So if our refrigerator was at, let's say, 38 degrees before we open the door, what's now happening as we stand there every minute? Bingo. Cold air is escaping, warm air is getting in, so 38 degrees now becomes 40, now becomes 50, now could potentially become 60, depending on how long we're standing there, right? Same thing with freezers. Just out of curiosity, anyone here make pasta sauce or soup? Okay, so how many people take those leftovers and throw it inside the freezer to cool down really quick? Be honest. Anybody ever did that? Big no-no. Never do that, okay? Yes, freezers are good, but do not put a big pot of anything hot inside the freezer to cool it down quick. You're not doing yourself or anyone else in the household any favors. Main reason being, what's happening to the freezer? It's getting hot, okay? Small batches, smaller containers, okay? Cool them down rapidly, then get them into refrigeration. Okay, and there's a whole process with that. You have 4 hours to basically get food from being hot to cold, all right, safely. So, thermometers, you have bimetallic stem thermometers. Main things to remember, boiling point, 212 degrees Fahrenheit, freezing point, 32 degrees Fahrenheit. Essentially, you can check the calibration by holding it over boiling water, put on an oven mitt, okay? This is a manual one. They have digital ones which work very, very well, but you still need to check them regularly to make sure that they're properly calibrated. I suggest the ice point method. Basically, grab some ice cubes, throw them inside a blender with water till the ice gets nice and crushed and slushy looking. Drop the thermometer, pour it in a cup, drop the thermometer in. It should read 32 degrees. If not, you take a little wrench. Underneath, there's a little nut, lug nut. You turn it until it says 32. Okay? If you're using a digital thermometer, it should read as close to 32, if not 32 exactly. If it doesn't and it's way off, toss it out, buy a new one. Okay? In your facilities, you will need to have at least 4 of these. Okay? Because you will check the temperature of food, you will check the temperature of drinks. All right? Because should a hot beverage be a certain temperature? Yes. Should a cold beverage be at a certain temperature? Yes. Because even beverages can make you sick. Okay? Anybody ever go to Starbucks? All right? What is hanging on that little pitcher when they're frothing the milk? Anybody ever notice there's a thermometer inside the little frothing pitcher? Okay? That is because they need to make sure that milk is at the right temperature before it's introduced into the coffee. Okay? Because if that milk is too cold or the coffee becomes too cold, want me to use that? Oh, gotcha. Okay. So if you have a question, you get the mic. All right? If that milk is too cold or the coffee becomes too cold or vice versa, all right, what happens? It lowers the temperature. If it falls into the temperature changes zone, we've now got a problem. All right? Any questions? Sorry, out there. Receiving foods, if you're going to receive foods, you have to get them from a reputable supplier. That supplier has to be certified, okay? If they are not certified, if you are a new business and you're concerned about meeting the bottom line, okay, do not take shortcuts, especially with children. Do not take shortcuts, okay? It can do more harm than good. It's not likely that you can go to a local, oh yeah, can you go to a local supermarket if you run out of milk? No. Do businesses do it all the time? Of course they do, okay? But you're not supposed to. If you run out of a specific product, you just do not have that product available, okay? Get on the phone to your vendor, see if they can get it to you that day, depending on the time of day it is. If they can't, make sure you have an order to get it in the next day, all right? All vendors and suppliers have to comply with federal and state regulations in regards to the production of their product, all right? All vendors and suppliers must also have the necessary certifications and permits for operation, all right? The use of any and all food products prepared in a home environment is strictly prohibited. What does that mean? Okay, can you as the caregiver bring food from your home to the daycare where you work? Nope. Absolutely not. You can for yourself, for your own consumption, but can you serve that to one of the children? No, absolutely not. So, how do we properly receive food? 4 stages. You have your purchaser, you have your receiving manager, you have your storeroom staff, and then you have your porters, okay, or your employees. Sorry. All right. Essentially, you know that you have to use a reputable vendor. Okay? So, when you're purchasing, there are going to be certain standards. You know, you want to make sure that the food is coming in as wholesome. You want to make sure that it's properly packaged. You want to make sure that it's being shipped and handled properly. Okay? For instance, does anybody know where the warmer spot in a refrigeration unit is? Directly under the fan. Okay? Or the blower. Your blower's up here. What does it do? Blows the cold air out inside the cargo hold of, let's say, a refrigerated truck, blows it out in the cargo hold, it circulates around, but the warmer spot inherently is actually just below the fan, because what happens? It has to travel all of that distance to circulate and come back. It's going to be a little bit warmer, okay? Should you have thermometers in your refrigeration and your freezing units? Yes. Okay? Even if you have a professional unit that has the lovely display, always have one secondarily because it can save you. Okay? If your on-screen display is a little bit off, you have a second one so that when they come to inspect and they say, well, this says 38 degrees, and they fire, and I love technology nowadays because they have laser-guided thermometers now. So they don't have to, search around for, they just take a little gun, they point it, they shoot it against one of the wall panels in your refrigerator or freezer, and it instantly shows them how hot or cold it is. Okay? However, if you have a backup thermometer inside, in the warmest spot, okay, to say, hey, this says 41, my thermometer says 36 degrees, you're covered. Okay? So, when you're receiving food, specifically with meat, beef, lamb, pork, game meats that are not poultry, all right? You need to look for certain things. This round symbol here is your inspection stamp. This is done by the U.S. Department of Agriculture, okay? Basically means the meat is safe for human consumption, human and animal consumption, but specifically human consumption, okay? The shield next to it is a grading stamp. That is basically an indication of quality, okay? Prime, choice, select, utility, canner, things of that nature. Your meats, you can receive them fresh or frozen. Fresh meat should be 41 degrees Fahrenheit or below, all right? Do not let anything off that truck come into your facility unless you have checked everything. Have a thermometer with you. If you're getting, 3 pork roasts, in, lay the pork roast on top of each other, in their packaging with the thermometer in between. Give it about 10 to 15 seconds to get a reading, okay? If it's at the proper temperature, accept it. If it's not, sorry guys, draw a line through the invoice, tell them, I need you to take this back. All right? Because 9 times out of 10, everything can be good in your facility. Refrigeration can be working properly. You have enough staff to get things from point A, in receiving, and to point B in storage. But can something go wrong with the truck? Yes, because 9 times out of 10, you could be stop number 14 out of 18 on that route, correct? So if I'm stop number 14, well, wait, they've made 13 stops before me. That truck has now done what? It's been open, it's been closed. It's been open, it's been closed, right? Do they just pull the panel door open, take a few things out, close the door, run it into your shop, and then go back out and repeat the process? No. What do? They unlock the cargo hold, they roll that door up, or they open the door side to side, and it sits there for a good half hour while they do what? They unload, they wait for you to check everything off, move everything in, and then they go back and they close the doors. Okay? How hot has that cargo hold now gotten? Very. Okay? If it was, let's say, 37 degrees when they got to you, it could be almost 80 degrees by the time they finish. Yes. Whoop. 1 second.
All meals is supposed to bring the both label?
Yes. Yep. Meats and poultry and eggs will have both labels. Okay? Eggs specifically will have an inspection. They will not necessarily have a quality stamp, but they will have, grades. So, they'll have grades as far as size and what have you. So, jumbo, extra jumbo. We actually have a couple of slides for that. But, with meats and poultry, as it states, if you get them in frozen, 0 degrees Fahrenheit or below, okay, should be solid as a brick. Your meat should be bright red or pink in color, depending on the type of meat, all right? No off orders. And there you see that says, exception for cryovac packaging. Cryovacking is basically vacuum sealing, okay? On the industrial scale, hydrogen gas is pumped into the cryovac unit to help preserve the product, all right, as it is sealed. Generally what happens is every now and then you probably buy, chicken or pork chops in bulk at, like, let's say BJ's. You cut the bag open and you're like, ooh, this must be bad. But then a few minutes later it's like, oh, well, wait, no, the smell is gone. That's because of the gas that's pumped in. Okay? So, if you get into your facility, cut the bag open, let it sit about 5 minutes in air. Of course, make sure you have it on ice to keep it cold, right? But let it sit out. Generally, the off odor will dissipate, okay? Because believe you me, you definitely know the smell of spoiled meat. It is not pretty, okay? All meats must have USDA inspection and grading stamps. Same thing for poultry, okay? You must have an inspection and a grading stamp, okay? And similar characteristics, fresh or frozen reception, fresh poultry, 41 degrees or below, frozen, 0 degrees Fahrenheit or below. The flesh should look clean. You should see no defects. It should be firm to the touch. Okay? If it feels mushy, it's old. Or it's been frozen. It was previously frozen, actually, and it's been allowed to thaw. Okay? You want to be mindful of that. Don't just rely on the fact that the case may have an expiration date. Okay? Throw a pair of gloves on, open up the case, look at your fresh chicken. Did they pack it in ice? In crushed ice? Okay? Pick it up, smell it, touch it, feel it. Does it feel clean? Does it feel slimy? Are there any off odors? It seems gross, but you are protecting your business because you're protecting your clientele by receiving quality products. Capiche? Cool. Fresh fish. Herein is where I generally will have a slight problem because there are no inspection and grading standards as far as fish is concerned, okay? So you have to rely on quality factors, all right? Define any and all forms of seafood that do not qualify as shellfish. So we're talking about, salmon and whiting and perch and haddock and snapper, okay? So things you want to look for when you're receiving them, once again, should be 41 degrees Fahrenheit or below. The eyes have to be clear and bulging. Remember the old comic strips? And they would show the dead fish and the eyes are sticking out like this with the two big X's? That's what you want to see. You want to see eyes that are protruding out from the sides of the head. Okay? If they're level or sunken in, I guarantee you that fish is old. Okay? The gills should be bright red. Okay? Lift up the gill, look in. Red to pink, you're good. If they look gray, no thank you, take it back. Remember the commercials, if it's not Mrs. Paul's, throw it back? Throw it back. The flesh should be firm and elastic, stretchy. If you press your thumb into the side of it, should it bounce back? Yes? No? Yes. Okay? If you put a thumb inside, in the side of a piece of fresh fish, it should spring right back. Your thumbprint should not stay there. Okay? Smell. Should smell like the ocean. It should smell clean. Okay? Now, of course, freshwater fish like salmon is not going to smell like the ocean, but it's going to smell like, it should smell like clean water. Okay? Feel the skin. Okay? The scale should be firmly attached. The skin should have a clean feel to it. No evidence of a slimy texture. All right? I'm sure at least most of you have been in a fish market. Sometimes you can tell the frozen fish fillets that they put out, and then sometimes you can tell the real product. All right? How many people saw that video of the man in Chinatown? People just got angry because I guess a light bulb broke. He went to go fix the light bulb, and he stepped on the fish with his boots. Can any of that product be used to sold now? Nope. Would I be highly upset as a business owner? Yes. Okay? Proper standards and practices is what it's all about. Smoked fish. In general, main thing you want to remember, smoked fish should be stored at 38 degrees Fahrenheit or below. Okay? Because the main concern here is botulism. More specifically defined, Clostridium botulinum. Okay? Most smoked fish generally nowadays will come vacuum sealed. Okay? Sometimes it will come canned. All right? Shellfish, basically, as it states, does not include lobster, crab, or shrimp. All right? Crab, not clam. Clams, mussels, oysters, these belong of a family that are called mollusks. All right? Essentially, what you want to do is basically make sure, the shells aren't broken. Okay? They smell fresh. The water they've been coming out of is not polluted. And there are several standards and things of that particular nature that go along with it, such as seafood tags. Okay? Specifically a shellfish tag, which looks like this. Okay? In general, even if you're going to get frozen shellfish in, it will have this tag. Specific information contained, the name of the product, the name and address of the original shipper. It's going to have the interstate certificate number of the original shipper. Okay? Just like your food vendors, your fishmongers, or your seafood purveyors have to be certified. They will have an identification number. They will have a certification number. Okay? All of that information will be contained on your shellfish tag. Location of the harvesting area. All right? Why? Because if something goes wrong, they have to be able to track where it came from. They have to be able to inspect it, to check the water conditions. Is there algae present? Okay? Is it one particular area of the fishery or the hatchery, so to speak, that's contaminated and not everything else? Okay? Is it something at the source, or did it maybe occur because of improper handling in transit and distribution? All right? When purchasing small amounts, tag must be provided. That's called a split lock tag. Same information as the top one, but it will basically indicate, okay, this lot was harvested at this particular point. This is, this particular harvest yielded, let's say, 500 pounds. This is a split lot tag. We're giving this person 25 pounds of these 500 pounds. All right? Shellfish tag is required to be kept for 90 days, minimum. Anyone know why? Why would you keep a shellfish tag for 90 days? In case what happens? Not allergies. Good route though. Wait, who said it? Bingo, bacteria. Okay, you keep shellfish tags for 90 days in case someone gets sick. Okay, what do people love to eat in the wintertime? It's white, it has potatoes in it. Bingo, clam chowder. Okay, some people like it, some people don't like it. I happen to like it. I went to college in Rhode Island, so please. We were surrounded by clam and all day long. All right? New England clam chowder. Okay? Great to eat. One of the most fatal dishes out there. Why? We've got clams. We've got cream. We've got bacon in it. Okay? So you already have a triple whammy going in before you sit down and eat that bowl of clam chowder. Right? 3 high-class, potentially hazardous foods. We're not even going to talk about the butter, the flour, and everything else that goes into it. Just those 3 ingredients alone, if they're not properly handled, prepared, and cooked, can do what? Make you sick. Make you extremely sick. So, with that being said, your other shellfish, crustaceans, lobster, crab, basically making sure that they are in good order, there's no cracks to the body or things of that particular nature, they don't look or smell off, okay? If you receive lobsters, they should be alive. Make sure their claws are banded, okay? Same thing with crab, okay? If I don't see any of those moving, if I don't see lobsters and crabs moving, should I buy them? No. Now, if I'm purchasing them frozen, is it okay to buy them? Yes, because essentially they've been cleaned, they've been processed, and they're flash frozen and cryovac sealed, okay? Frozen seafood mix is 100% safe to buy in the grocery store. It's been processed, it's fine, okay? What you do want to look out for is maybe the exterior packaging, just making sure you don't see large ice crystals on the outside of the packaging, because essentially that means that it was allowed to start thawing, and then they got it back into a frozen environment, okay? So, eggs. Eggs produced outside of New York State are inspected by the USDA, United States Department of Agriculture. Okay? Of course, what is the number one issue with eggs? Salmonella. Right? Salmonella, yeah, it's going to make you sick. You may vomit. You will, get fever. You may poop profusely, repeatedly. Okay? When I was younger, I learned it as, my mother explained it as Sam and Ella was an English couple, and they had a chicken that she wanted to cook for dinner, and they argued over the chicken. The chicken got angry and basically, was like, okay, well, cluck, 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 I'll make you sick. Go figure. But, all right, just like all of your other food products, okay, food, dairy, seafood, things like that, your eggs must come from reputable, certified suppliers. No ifs, no ands, no buts, okay? Do eggs have an expiration date on them? Yes, okay? Do you have a window on that expiration date in your business? No. Okay? If you buy eggs this week and it says that those eggs are good for 3 weeks, okay, so what's today? Today's the 14th? So if it says, okay, expiration date is October 7th, should I find those eggs if I walk into your facility to inspect it on the morning of October 8th? Nope. Okay? In your home is one thing. In your business, completely different. That is a health code violation. Okay? Dispose of it immediately. You can actually, tell your staff, you know what? If the remainder of this product has not been used by the end of the night, this is the last day of use, put it in the trash. Okay? Write up a shrink log so that we can document the waste. Okay? It's contributed as a cost of doing business, and toss it. Hopefully, if your systems are good and in place, you're not going to have a lot of excess product that would wind up being wasted. Yes? Of course. Pasteurized eggs, basically, generally, extended shelf life eggs. We've seen things like this, egg beaters, okay? You can buy pasteurized egg whites in little milk cartons, well, milk style cartons and things of that particular nature. Generally, you want to make sure that they're being properly refrigerated, okay? Powdered eggs kind of go against it. Very, very, very short shelf life. Usually used in a lot of institutional cookings, primarily nursing home environments and things of that particular nature, okay? McDonald's uses fresh whole eggs, okay? Same thing with Burger King. They have the commissaries that basically, you know, they prep, they cook, they process, and they ship. All right, so the food is safe. Don't freak out saying, oh, they put all these chemicals into it. They don't. All right? Milk and milk products only accept grade A pasteurized milk and milk products. Concerns are Listeria monocytogenes, E. coli 0157.H7, and salmonella. You can get salmonella poisoning from milk, from dairy. Wonderful thing, yes? Okay? How many people here drink lactate? All right? If you notice, your average container of lactate will last you about 3 months. All right? That's because lactase, which is lactic acid, it's been removed. Okay? Well, not removed, but it's basically, it's inherently ultra-pasteurized to kill off that enzyme. Okay? So, of course, what happens? It takes a longer amount of time for it to spoil. Okay? There's nothing wrong with it. Perfectly fine to use it. Perfectly fine to serve it in your environment. Okay? But expiration date on pasteurized milk and milk products must not exceed 9 calendar days from the date of pasteurization. So you know, if that container says expires September 14th, what day was it basically pasteurized? Count back 9 days. So if it says the 14th, it was pasteurized on September 5th. Okay? Can't get fresher than that, right? All right? What happens if you have a container of milk that's a day old in your fridge, that's a day past expiration, and you get inspected? You fail. Okay? That is a critical violation. Okay? That goes into rotating your product. That goes into making sure that all of your staff is aware and checking dates on products every day. You have to make sure that they are checking products every day. If you have to make an example because someone decided to be lazy and they're like, yeah, okay, I did it. If you have to make an example and suspend an employee for a day or a week or terminate them because they did not do their job properly, for protecting themselves, protecting your clientele in the business, make the example, okay? But inspectors do not like to see expired product sitting in your shelves because basically, if it's there, most likely what has happened? It's been used and it's been served. And that is a huge, huge, huge no-no, all right? Upon receipt, check to make sure that your milk or your dairy products are at the proper temperature, 41 degrees or below. In a daycare environment, if that milk truck shows up, I am standing there when they open the cargo hold, I'm saying, you know what? I need to get up into the back of your truck because what do I want to feel when I walk into that cargo hold? I want to feel as if I'm almost going to freeze to death because I know it's cold enough, okay? Pick up 1 or 2 of the little half pints of milk. Give it a squeeze. Smell it. Look to see if there's any residue on the outside. Are the containers clean? Are they properly sealed? Does it feel like the container is frozen? Should that milk be frozen? No. Okay? If it's frozen, it means somebody is cheating. All right? You know, anyone notice that there actually, have you noticed lately there are 2 dates on your milk gallons? Yeah. Okay. There's a general date, and then there's another one that says in NYC, and it's usually a few days shorter. Okay. We have a stricter standard on dairy products. Next time you buy a gallon of milk in the store, look at it. Not lactate, but regular whole milk. Look at it. There's actually 2 dates. Okay. There's usually one at the top, and then underneath that it says in NYC, and it's usually 3 to 4 days shorter than the main expiration date. Okay? Because we have stricter standards in New York City as far as the storage and use of dairy products. Yes. Hold on.
Yeah, can a milk, regular milk, spoil before the expiration date on the milk?
Speak up. Speak up a little bit.
Yeah, can the milk spoil before the expiration date on the milk?
Oh, yes. Yes. Any and every product out there that has an expiration date can actually spoil before the expiration date because it's been improperly stored, it's been improperly handled. Okay? Excellent question, actually. How many people here get a cup of coffee off the local coffee cart? Come on, be honest, show your hands. Right? No, you got the little guys with the little carts and everything else like that, usually hitched to the back of a truck, right? You can get coffee, tea, you can get a donut, you can get a croissant, a pastry, whatever else like that. You know, from the smaller ones, not the ones where you could really, get breakfast. But in general, when you see them pouring that milk or that half and half into your coffee, do they have it sitting in a container of ice and water? No. Where is it? It's right next to that coffee pot. Okay? Is that milk in the temperature danger zone? Yes. Okay? Now, there's some that will argue, well, they're pouring, 25 cups every half an hour, whatever. Yeah, fine and good, but it's still sitting in a hot environment. It's next to a hot coffee pot, which is generating heat. Okay? You've got the ambient temperature in the room, and if it's summertime, forget it. Okay? What should you say? Hey, you know what? You have a cooler? Give me some fresh milk, from your cooler. This way you know it's cold. Yes?
For the milk, if they said
What? Hold on a second. No, the button's on. The light's on. Now it's off, but now it's, hold on. Okay. Speak loud and clear.
all right, you said for the milk, if the expiration date is on like September 14, by the 5th we should stop using it.
No. The 5th, 9 days before, is when it was harvested and pasteurized. Okay? It's a 9-day window. So on the 5th, it was harvested and pasteurized. By the 14th, you have to get rid of it. You've got a 9-day window.
Oh, so usually I put 2 days more.
Sorry?
Oh, I said usually I keep it like on the 16th.
Well, yeah, I mean, in a home, like I said, in a home environment, generally you can keep it a day or two more, but in a business environment, you can't. Okay? Yes.
Is there a greater longevity between regular milk and organic milk, like in terms of date? And also, second one is, if you have a refrigerator, is there a spot in the refrigerator that you shouldn't put the milk? Like, should it be inside the refrigerator versus on the door?
Okay, and great question, actually. So, is there a real difference between organic and non-organic milk? Not really. Organic milk, whoops. Okay. Organic milk will usually expire 2 to 3 days sooner. Okay. And that's mainly because, the animals have not been treated with any type of, medications, antibiotics, and things of that, particular nature. Is there a real quality difference? Not really. Okay. You do have acidophilus milk, which is kind of like, some of you remember the old school milk bottles and Milkman, where you got the glass bottles and you would have to shake it. Okay. That expires actually rather quickly, usually within 3 to 5 days. I'm sorry, what's the second part of your question again? Oh, yes, okay, thank you. So, in a home environment, keep it on the shelf, generally the top shelf, relatively central, close to the blower unit, okay? Inside your professional environment, inside your business, I would actually have it in a spot directly across from the blowers and the fans so that you know that that cold air is constantly hitting it, okay? As long as you're making sure that your cooling units are properly maintained and working correctly, generally you'll have no problem, okay? The only reason why you would have a problem is essentially, once again, someone on staff that's improperly handling the product. Okay? Anyone else? All right, so, moving right along. Fresh fruits and vegetables, essentially, yes, you have quality standards, okay? You don't want to see any bruising, okay? You don't want to see any rotted fruit. You don't want to see any presence of insects, okay? It should be, handled properly. It should be, harvested, washed, packaged, and transported properly. However, in recent years, people have found what on the surfaces of bananas and oranges and apples and things of that nature? They found E. coli. They found salmonella, okay? Sometimes due to improper handling, but also, can we control everything in nature? No. If a possum gets into a grove and climbs a tree and says, ooh, that apple looks really good, chomp, 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 chomp. Can we control what they're doing in the trees? No. Can we control birds? No. Squirrels? Absolutely not. Do we train our staff to look out for these quality factors and to look out for those things? Yes, we do. When we see a problem, should we take corrective action to, as a means of prevention? Yes. All right? Fresh produce, basically, wash it thoroughly prior to being served raw, okay? Listeria comes from improperly washed vegetables. What are the two top vegetables that are very, 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 very difficult to wash? One starts with a C, the other one starts with a Z. Sorry? Not cabbage. Celery and zucchini. Spinach comes in third, lettuce and cabbages come in fourth. Okay? Because with spinach, lettuce, and cabbage, can you clean them easily? Yes, you can. If you have a 2-bay sink, what do? The first side, you put a stopper in it, you fill it up with water, right? You wear gloves, take your knife on a clean cutting board, cut the core out of the lettuce, cut the core out of the cabbage, cut it up into, large wedges or pieces, put it in the water, agitate it lightly, right? Because inherently, what will happen? The bulk of the sand and the grit will fall to the bottom. You lift it out gently into the second bay, which is empty, into a colander, give it another washing, okay? Salad spinner to get the excess water off, clean container into your refrigerator, you're good. However, zucchini are porous and celery has what? Ridges, which hold on to dirt. Next time you go into the grocery store and you buy celery, even if you buy the celery sticks that are prepackaged, please wash them off, but take them out of the package, look at them. I guarantee you will find traces of dirt at the wider end, which would be closest to the roots. Okay? Certain varieties of onions, namely leeks, have a lot of sand and grit and dirt in them. You have to clean them well. Okay? Fresh organic spinach, if it does not say pre-washed in a package, wash it, wash it, wash it, wash it, wash it. Okay? Very, very sandy, very, very gritty. Any questions? Do we get questions on the other end? Or no?
No, unfortunately, we don't get any questions from you, so.
Okay, we need to get a chat window. So, campaign for a chat window out there, okay? So, canned goods. Canned goods, a lot of us grew up on canned goods. Fresh, as a chef, I say fresh is always best. However, there is nothing wrong with canned goods. But, how many of you may have had a parent, specifically mom, that said, you know what? Go into the grocery store, move a couple of cans to the side. If you see that one with a little bit of a dent because you'll get a discount, Don't do it. You can potentially do what? Kill yourself and everyone else that has eaten something out of that can. Because in essence, when a can is dented, the seal has become what? Broken. Okay? For instance, when you receive canned foods, if you get a can that has swollen ends, rust, dents, leaks and flawed seals, and missing labels, are you going to take those cans into your business? Nope. Now, how do vendors get around this? Do they have cans just coming in one by one out in the open? Nope. They're usually in what? A box. They're in a case, and usually the driver is trying to hurry you along because that's the last thing coming off the truck, and he wants to do what? He wants to get those doors closed. He now wants to get to stop number 15. Sorry, buddy. Hold on a second. Pop open every single case. It is your right as the recipient. Open every case, pick up every can, and inspect it. If the can is good, fine and good, you let it in. If it's not, sorry, I'm not taking these 2 out of these 6. I'm going to indicate it on my invoice. Initial here, please. Okay? Now, if you receive all 6 cans and they're in good order and something happens in the storage process, you have to keep those cans separately. You have to have signage that indicates that they are dented cans and they are not supposed to be used. Okay? Dispose of the product as soon as possible. However, if you have let's say a bin that says dented cans do not use and appropriate signage, and the health inspector comes in and sees that, you're good. If you don't, and they see a dented can on a shelf amongst the other product, amongst the like product, you're in trouble. Okay? That's a critical violation. All right? Yes? Hold on. Sorry. Oh, yeah. Supermarkets will sell them.
Yes. So those times, what do you do?
Don't buy it.
Is the one thing?
Do not buy it. No. If it's 1 dented can, if it's 10 dented cans in the supermarket, don't buy it. There's the old adage, oh, it's okay. No. Even with the new technology, because most cans, whether they're soda cans, whether they're food cans, have a thin plastic filament on the inside. Fine and good. Guess what? The outside is still what? Metal. Okay? If that can gets dented and that metal pierces that thin filament, what's happening now? Air is getting in. Bacteria starts to breed. All right? You do not want that. Now, what's interesting about that, of course, with the advent of medical technology, what do we have that the cosmetic industry uses that was a form of food intoxication? Botox. Botox is botulinum bacteria. Okay? Anybody ever really look at the warnings when they say do not get excessive treatments and things of that particular nature because, the Botox injection is a paralytic? Yeah. All right? Modified atmosphere packaging, basically your vacuum sealed foods, your sous vide foods, okay? Specific rules primarily is make sure that you're handling them properly, okay, because they're modified atmospheric packaging. We mentioned this earlier where we basically stated that sometimes you will smell an off odor that is from the commercial packing process. Give it a few minutes, usually no more than 5 minutes, and the smell should be gone. However, if it is not, dispose of the product. Okay? In general, most facilities, depending on the local regulations, the regulations of your local Department of Health, some will allow you to receive sous vide packaged foods, some will not. Okay? It depends on what the current health code and ordinances are. Keep in mind, because of the absence of air when you're dealing with vacuum sealed food, okay, it actually provides for the optimal growth of bacteria because now you're in a self-contained environment. Just because air isn't necessarily there, can bacteria still breed? Yes, because you have what's called aerobic or air-breathing bacteria, and you have anaerobic or non-air breathing bacteria. All right? Products, once again, just like everything else, have to be provided by approved sources. Care has to be taken to preserve the packaging during handling and when taking the temperature. For instance, if you have 2 vacuum seal bags, am I going to take my thermometer and stick it through one of the bags? No, I'm breaking the seal, right? But I'm going to take my 2 vacuum seal bags, lay them on top of the thermometer like this, so it surrounds it at both sides. I'm going to wait 10 to 15 seconds. Hopefully you're not getting feedback over there. I'm going to wait 10 to 15 seconds for a proper temperature reading on my thermometer to make sure that that product is at the right temperature. And if that product is not at the right temperature, what should I do? Return it. Actually, correction. If they're delivering it to me and it's not the right temperature, don't accept it. Okay? You wouldn't return it, you actually don't accept it. Don't let it in, sorry. This is at 46 degrees. Nope, not happening. Goodbye. Okay? Food establishments that are interested in using or making modified atmosphere packaging foods have to obtain permission from the NYC DOHMH. All right? How many people here have gone to a steakhouse in the city? Okay? Do you see anything on the menu that says the words sous vide, S-O-U-S-V-I-D-E? Nope. Because that's basically, you can cook fish, you can cook steak inside a sealed bag. Okay? It's not allowed. All right? Because it's one of these things where you can do it in your home, but it requires very, very controlled monitoring in that cooking process. Dry foods, pretty much, grains, beans, flour, rice, sugar, they should be dry at the time that they get to your facility. If, there's moisture on the outside packaging, guys, what happened? How did this get wet? Okay? Same thing with storage. You want to make sure it is a cool, dry environment, no more than 70 to 75% relative humidity. Because if you get beyond that, what can start occurring? Too much moisture in the air, mold, okay? Spores will start to grow, they they fly through the air, okay? Bugs can start to develop, all right? Packaging should be whole, there should be no breaks, there should be no defects, okay? Because one, it'll attract mice. It will attract bugs, okay? Should you keep cardboard boxes in your facility? No. Why? Rodents and corrugated cardboard, breeding ground for roaches. Okay? Corrugated cardboard is to them, it's like their Disneyland. Okay? Because all those little, one pregnant roach gives you 2,000 roaches or something like that? Okay? Think of it. They all start running into the little recesses and everything else like that, and they're just multiplying, and you don't see them because generally they're nocturnal. They only come out at night, right? Can you imagine if a health inspector came in, everything looks great, and then all of a sudden, a box happens to fall off the shelf and boom. Okay? You got to hold a little force and they start scurrying. All right? You do not want that. Get rid of the cardboard, invest in plastic storage bins, okay? Invest in appropriate shelving as well. We're actually going to talk about that. Whenever these products are moved from their original containers, make sure they're stored in tightly covered, rodent-proof containers. Has to be labeled. Proper labeling. Dry goods, fresh foods, liquids have to be properly labeled and dated at all times. Okay? Everything. And if you have an inspector that is worth his or her salt and is thorough to make sure that you're on the up and up as a business, they are going to look at every last bin, and don't you dare get upset that they're looking at every last bin. They're doing their job. Okay? However, you need to make sure that your staff is properly trained and that you, as the head, follow up. It is okay to micromanage, so to speak, to make sure that they are doing everything that they're supposed to be doing. Which means, hey, If we've just finished putting 10 batches of pasta, prepping 10 batches of pasta that's going to be served for lunch, should I be checking to make sure that the pasta in cold storage before we take it and put it in the oven to bake is labeled and dated? Yes. If I'm making a mixed salad for the kids to eat along with their lasagna, okay, and their fresh bread, should that container of salad be labeled and dated even though it's going to be put out in half an hour for consumption? Yes. Should the dressing be labeled? Yes. The bread, the butter, the milk, if need be? Yes. Okay? Because essentially, they want to see what it is, when it was prepped, how long it can be held around. In general, how long should you hold food in a service environment? What is your window of expiration? Sorry? No. No. Somebody over there said it. Nope, not 7. Bingo. 3 days. 3 days. 72 hours. Okay? So, not being funny, but Popeye's chicken sandwich. Okay? They, fry up a batch of the chicken breast for that chicken sandwich. All right? Should they be gone in 72 hours? Yes. Have they been gone in 72 hours? Yes. Please, they've been gone in less than 9 hours. All right? But anything that comes out of your kitchen, whether it's being served to adults, kids, animals, what have you, ghosts. 3 days after production, goodbye, in the trash. If it has not been used, if it has not been served, get rid of it. Do not go and do what some businesses used to do. Okay, we're on the 3rd day of the meatloaf. Now we're going to take the leftover meatloaf and mix it in with sauce and with tomato sauce and make meat sauce for pasta. No, do not repurpose products. Businesses, grocery stores specifically that have prepared foods departments have gotten in huge trouble for doing things like that. Okay, for repurposing already cooked product. Do not do it. Yes. No, you're going to get the mic. Because they need to hear your dulcet tones on the other end. You're not on camera, they're just hearing you.
Yeah, what you was just saying is like there's a lot of supermarket that they do that. They make like any food. I'm just gonna give an advice. Like any meat that you see at the supermarket, it's seasoned. Don't buy it. Like it's almost at the expiration date. I went to the supermarket and I asked the guy. That's why he told me that any meat that is about to expire, that's the one they take and then like season them and then put it out there for people to buy it again.
Yep, that is true. All right. Well, the adage is, of course, seasoning, and adding herbs and spices and salt, of course. Yeah, they're inhibitors. They are natural preservatives. But at the same time, check the expiration date. Okay? Most of the products nowadays that are pre-seasoned is basically to make it convenient for the consumer. But look at the expiration date. If it's giving you a week, okay. If it's giving me 2 or 3 days, I'm going to be a little bit iffy about it. And there's no reason not to be. All right? So, oops. Quick hands. All right, you should see me use a knife. Hello? Refrigerated and frozen processed foods, same things. Just as your dry foods, you don't want to see any excess moisture in the packaging. Same thing with frozen foods. A little fine mist of frost, fine. If I'm seeing large ice crystals, hey buddy, where did you stop? Why did this product start defrosting? Because that pretty much means it started to defrost, and somebody said, close the door in the frozen compartment, okay? Because then what happens? It refreezes, okay? It is absolutely okay to be picky when they're delivering to your business. It is even better to be picky in the grocery store because what happens? When you are shopping for yourself, right, you start instilling that standard within yourself. So when you go into your professional environment and you're shopping for your child clientele, are you not going to have those same standards or even stricter for them? Yes. Okay? You know, those steaming bags of vegetables and things, pick them up. Give them a shake. Okay? You should feel, you know, it should sound like, not to say it like this, it should sound like you're playing with maracas. You know, you should feel the bits and pieces bouncing around in the bag. You should not feel a solid mass. If you feel a solid, firm mass in a bag of frozen vegetables, that basically means, once again, they started to thaw and they were refrozen. Okay? Go for bags. Do not necessarily go for boxes. However, there is an exception to that. For instance, spinach, any type of leafy, hearty greens that have to be cooked, simply because what happens, they are, pressed into blocks, cut and formed. All right? But even then, look at the exterior packaging. Feel, is it nice and firm? Is it nice and firm, or is it soft? Does it feel like maybe it started to, thaw out? Is it warped in any way? Okay? When you open them up, when you get them into your facility, is there any discoloration? Do I see freezer burn? Do I see any graying? Do I see large ice crystals inside the container? Because that's now another indicator that it started to thaw and it's been refrozen. All right? Any frozen food, 0 degrees Fahrenheit or lower. Your freezer unit in your professional facility, high end of that freezer should be minus 15 degrees Fahrenheit. You want as far from 0 degrees Fahrenheit as possible, because of course what's going to happen? You're going to receive newer frozen product in. You're going to need to open and close that door to get everything loaded and stored properly. So you want to make sure that you're as far away from 0 as possible, because freezing is 32, correct? Freezing is 32 degrees Fahrenheit. 0, minus 15. Okay? I can almost guarantee you'll probably get up to plus 15 just from opening and closing the freezer door to get everything loaded in and properly situated and stored. You don't just throw it in. You have to make sure, the old saying, a place for everything and everything in its place. Refrigeration and frozen storage, a place for everything and everything in its place. It has to be organized. Okay? It has to be neat. It has to be tidy. 1, air circulation. Okay? So that product is, the cold air circulating around it, getting it, cool and back down to temp as it should be, among other things. For the foods? Okay. Of course, in a refrigerated, ouch, product. I'm hearing myself. I have like an echo, the delay from TV land. So, when it comes to storage, 2 key things. FIFO, first in, first out. Utilizing all of your, received product first. Nothing old. As it comes in, make sure it is used. Make sure you are checking and utilizing the older product first. Make sure you are rotating. For instance, not getting into dairy again. However, if I have a gallon of milk that expires today on the 14th, and I just got a new shipment in yesterday, and that milk is going to expire on the 23rd, if the health inspector comes in and sees a container of milk that is going to expire on the 23rd in front of the one that is going to expire today on the 14th, am I now in trouble? Yes. Okay? All newer product goes to the back. All older product comes to the front. All right? Cross-contamination, and this is a big thing, and I guarantee you, when you go home tonight and cook for yourself, you're going to be watching everything you do, and nothing is wrong with that. Because you know what? The more conscious you are about it at home, the more conscious you're going to be out there in the workforce. Okay? So, essentially, harmful microorganisms are transferred from one food item to another, typically from raw food to a food that has been cooked to a ready-to-eat food. Okay? Summer is ending. What is the one thing that almost everybody in this room loves to do in the summertime? What do we love to go to on the weekend besides the beach? Huh? Grill. Barbecues. Right? Drink. Yes, that is true. Okay? Nothing like a barbecue. You have your burger, you got your hot dogs, you got your steaks, you got your salmon, you got your chops, and a cold beer, right? Or sangria, or a glass of white wine, whatever floats your boat, right? But beautiful thing, right? You're sitting out, you're lounging in the sun, they bring you some grilled zucchini and stuff like that, right? Except for one little thing we're not thinking about. The tongs, the fork, the spatula that are used on the grill. Well, geez, did we not use that to cook burgers and chicken and raw steak and pork chops? Did anybody go and wash those tools off? Was anybody wearing gloves when they dropped everything on the grill? Nope. Can we potentially make a lot of people sick? Yes. Okay? And that's outside of the home when we're going to visit, the family or the friends. What about inside the home? Okay? Let's say we're making chicken parmesan. Okay? Do we necessarily clean that spatula off after we put the raw chicken inside the oil, the breaded chicken inside the oil inside our skillet? Nope. What do? Okay, ooh, it's nice and quick, golden brown on that side. Flip it over real quick, okay? After we do the flip, should we not take that spatula or that spoon or whatever it is we're using to cook that product, go to the sink, wash it and rinse it real quick, and dry it off before we put it back in the pot? Yes. No, you should though. Because honestly, if you think about it, best example actually, spaghetti sauce. How many people here make meat sauce? Right? Usually ground beef, ground pork, Italian sausage, some people, ground turkey, whatever. All right? Do you always clean that spoon when you are cooking that ground meat product before you add everything else back in? Be honest. No. Hardly any of us ever do. Okay? The first time, I love my children to death, but the first time my daughter actually really got wise and started watching me cooking, she's like, wait a second. She thought I was like an OCD clean freak because after the ground beef was pretty much, 90% cooked, I took the spoon, went to the sink, scrubbed it down with hot water and soap, and rinsed it, and dried it off before I started adding the onions and everything else to the pasta sauce. Because I don't want to cross-contaminate. I don't want to add more bacteria into that environment. Okay? How many people take the spoon out of the saucepan and go stir the pasta water? Okay? That's not so bad, depending. Okay? Now, you're taking it from one hot environment, putting it into another hot environment where you are going to be, killing and controlling bacteria, fine and good. However, okay, do not take that same spoon and then put it into the cooked pasta that's sitting in the colander after the fact. No, because you've gone from, bacteria controlled to, ooh, I'm going to add bacteria to my cooked pasta. Cross-contamination, okay? How many people here will prepare greens and things like that for a salad and not wash off the board before you put, let's say, a piece of fish on it to fry it some fish? Be honest, okay? These are little things that we do because it's kind of like, oh, we're home and we're not conscious of it, but you have to be conscious of it, and vice versa, okay? I'm a chef professionally. The one thing that drives me absolutely nuts, how many people here watch the Food Network and watch cooking shows? If you've noticed the past 5 years, the trend has become, they will say, ooh, make sure you properly wash, rinse, and sanitize your tools and equipment. Because in the old days, and I'm not knocking any of those culinary greats out there, so if this goes into social media, don't come after me, okay? However, without mentioning any names, but some, pretty famous people, what would happen? They would chop up chicken, right? They would cut, pieces of meat for steaks or roast or whatever on the cutting board, and then what would they do? They would take a damp towel, wipe off the board, flip it over, and start prepping vegetables. Did you see them wash their hands? Did you see them wash the board? Did you see them wash the equipment? No. Would you want to eat that food? Now, of course, through the magic of television, there's a whole staff that are, they're preparing things in stages and batches, and, that's not actually what the special guest would taste, But it's one of these things where you see that habit, you think, oh, okay, I can do that at home. I can just wipe something off like this and keep on. No, you can't, okay? Be cautious about it. Cross-contamination is serious, and you have to be fully aware of the entire cooking and preparation and cooking process from start to finish. All right? Should I keep raw fruit product on top of cooked food product? No. Raw on the bottom. Okay? So now here's something that's going to bake your noodle. How many of you have those little crisper drawers in your refrigerators? Okay? So if I'm going to have, my lettuce and my cucumbers and things like that, okay, see, he's not taking the class, so he gets half a pass about having his cell phone on. But I did tell people here, there I can't hear you, But I did tell people here, cell phones need to be on vibrate. But as I was saying, so, we have our little vegetable crisper drawers in the bottom of our refrigerators. Of course, you're not going to find that in a professional environment. It's just going to be a produce box, so to speak. But it's one of these things where, okay, so now that we've said that we have to store our raw food product underneath cooked food product, well, that's technically on top of that little shelf above the crisper drawers, and usually there's one or two little holes so that air can circulate in there, right? So now what must we do with our lettuce and things that are in the crisper drawers? Got to move them, right? Or make sure you've got a sealed container to put that raw fruit product in so that you're minimizing the chance of juices, blood, whatever, leaching down into your vegetables and things like that in the bottom of the fridge. All right? So, storage containers, essentially, this is where things can get kind of dicey because, different foods can react to metal, can react to certain types of plastic. For one, plastic is an insulator, okay? Which is why the industry, they have Lexan materials. It's kind of like composite polymer plastics and things of that particular nature where you can cool the fruit product down and then store it in something plastic because you've gotten it down to 41 degrees or less, all right? You cannot take hot fruit product, put it inside a plastic container, and just stick it into refrigeration, okay? It's going to stay hot, okay? Stainless steel containers, non-reactive metal containers, glass, pretty much the safest and best way to go. But it can be expensive, and then certain things you have to think about. You can't put something acidic into a stainless steel container. It's going to start tasting like the metal, all right? But along with that, you do not reuse any type of cooked food containers unless, of course, it's been properly cleaned and sanitized, all right? Printed materials, do not wrap seafood in newspaper, okay? We've been to enough fish fry places. One very, very popular, not too far from us. I'm not saying any names, but there are 2 or 3 in particular in that particular area, or island, so to speak, where you can get fried fish and fried clams and everything else like that and French fries. And how do they present it to you? Inside a piece of cardboard box on top of what? Newspaper. Not good. Okay? The ink alone, staph disease, and a few other things. Okay? Just in the newsprint. You don't want to ingest that into your body. Okay? Be picky. Be picky when you're dining elsewhere. Be picky when you're producing for your clientele in your facility. Okay? As picky as little Timmy and Susie are going to be picky about what products you give to them. Be picky about how the staff prepare, cook, and serve those things. Be picky about how they're storing, snacks and things that mom and dad may have dropped off for their child to eat that day. Be picky. Nothing wrong with that. Be picky about their cleaning habits. All right? Because children in a child care environment do what? They touch what? Everything. Okay? They touch everything. Oh, this looks interesting. Let me chew on it. Oh, this looks interesting. What's that? Oh, they touch everything. Yes. I need the microphone. I know, yeah, I almost tripped and killed myself for a moment. We have wires on the floor.
Is safe they use the glass container?
Yes, you can use glass containers. Of course, you want to be very careful in how you handle them. Generally, they're going to be tempered glass. So they're going to be, Pyrex grade. Okay? Huh?
The Pyrex glass, no?
No, Pyrex grade is fine, but like I said, in a professional environment where you're doing a lot of, depending on the amount of volume you're doing, the price could be prohibitive. So usually it's going to wind up being, stainless steel or another non-reactive metal. Okay? That you're going to use. Or, like I said, Lexan material. But if you're going to use Lexan material, since it does have plastic in the mixture, along with the other polymers, you need to make sure that you've cooled the food down completely before you put it inside the storage container and label and date it and put it away for refrigerated or frozen storage.
Usually the glass container is the top, is the plastic.
Mm-hmm.
Is the top.
It's rubber, yeah. It's rubberized plastic. It's okay. Because generally, once again, the food product is going to be cooled completely before you seal it. Okay? Of course, please, I walk into the restaurant, I've got every type of container under the sun, and it's covered with plastic wrap, and we've got labels and we've got dates. Okay? Plastic wrap in general is always best, just because it's a thin layer. So if there is any residual warmth, so to speak, or if the temperature is just slightly off by a degree, since you have a nice thin layer, it will cool it down, it'll help cool it down faster. Okay? So, all foods that come into your facility have to be immediately sorted and stored. Okay? And stored in designated areas. For instance, I see you looking. For instance, okay, should we be putting frozen cranberries in the dry storage area? No. They should go in the freezer, right? Would I want to put white rice inside the fridge? No. Inside the dry storage area. Okay? Once again, a place for everything and everything in its place. Okay? Raw food must always be stored, like we said, be stored below and away from cooked food to avoid cross-contamination. And your storage sequence should be this. Frozen food first. Get your frozen goods into frozen storage first. Refrigerated foods second. Non-perishables and dry goods last. Refrigerated storage, basically what you want to be mindful of, all right? Cold temperatures do not kill microorganisms, okay? The cold doesn't kill bacteria, it slows down the growth process. That's all it does, okay? Which is why, they say if you're prepping a meal for a large group of people, take out small portions of your proteins and things of that particular nature, put them in containers on top of ice. Okay? Prep that batch, get it back into refrigeration. Take the next batch once again on ice. Prepare it how you need to prepare it before you cook it. Get that prepared batch back into refrigeration. Okay? You should not have a case full of chicken thighs sitting on top of the counter and you're just, peeling the skin and trimming the fat. No. Okay? Small batches. It is time consuming, but you're working to keep the food safe and protecting your clientele. All right? Prepackaged cold foods must be stored at temperatures recommended by the manufacturer. All right? So if it says, hey, store me at 38 degrees or below, make sure you're storing it at 38 degrees or below. Self-explanatory. For instance, how many people here on occasion will eat a microwave meal? A little banquet, Hungry Man dinner and stuff. And on that packaging, it says, like I know with some of the Hungry Man dinners, it says heat at 50% for 3.5 minutes. Take the top off, stir, cover. Then it says heat at high for remaining 4 minutes. There's a reason why they tell you that. Main reason being, they don't want what developing as you're heating that food? Bacteria. Okay? There's a reason why they tell you, you know what, this microwave pasta dish, stir the pasta, recover it, put it back in the microwave, and keep cooking it at high for 6 to 7 minutes or more. Because the exterior gets hot, but the interior is still what? Semi-frozen. Is the temperature equal? No, it's not. That's why they tell you to stir, because you stir, you're doing what? You're circulating the heat, but you're also dissipating the cold. You're rotating the product in its packaging. Yes.
Is it safe to warm the milk in baby bottle in the microwave?
Yes, and well, okay. If you have the proper type of warming unit for a microwave to do that, yes. I would not just stick. No, they actually have baby bottle units, warming units for them that can go into your microwave. Yeah, I would not.
If it's not, like no extra microwave, or like no warmer, just a regular microwave.
Just a regular? No, I wouldn't. Main reason being, most of your baby bottles are not microwave safe. Okay? Most plastics are in general, and when you actually buy them, they'll actually indicate, how you can reheat them, what type of implements you can use to reheat them. 9 times out of 10, if the bottle itself is safe, generally the nip top to it that the baby would actually, chew on and suck on, that isn't. Okay? It is food grade, but that's not usually microwave safe, and you should actually take that off. Okay? But you can go on Amazon and a number of other places, and you can actually buy inexpensive microwave warming units for baby bottles. You can actually check at several websites to see which ones can I put in, into this type of unit, which works best. Okay? Yes? Exactly. Exactly. And actually, she has brought up right. And actually, Professor Dean has brought up a good point, okay? So, I know a lot of you here and out there have heard this old saying that microwaves cook from the inside out. True or false? False. Microwaves do not cook from the inside out. Microwaves cook from the outside in. However, okay, the radiant waves only penetrate food product up to 2 inches. That's why you see a lot of these instructions that will say, pull the wrapping off, turn, rotate, flip, and stir, because once again, you're circulating the heat and dissipating the cold so that you get even heating. That's why, like after 1989, you started seeing all of these carousel microwaves that turn the product, okay? Because they realize, hey, we're not getting even heating. Okay? If you have something large and bulky going into a microwave environment, all right, it's going to take a very, very long time to heat it. Okay? And you know what? If it says stir and do this and do that, make sure you're doing and performing those actions, because you can make yourself sick, you can make someone else sick. Okay? Quite honestly, I'm very, very happy. In my restaurant, we have no microwaves. Okay? Everything is cooked fresh. We only outsource one product from a sausage maker in Texas, and that's only because we found that it was costing us a lot of money to have 3 guys in a prep kitchen making pork sausage all day. Okay? So we have a sausage maker in Texas. They have our formula. They make it. They freeze it. They ship it to all 8 of our locations. Okay? But everything that we make from start to finish is made fresh. We do it in batches, and when the night is over, guess what? If any of the staff basically hasn't decided, okay, I'll take a little mac and cheese or rice or this or that, the remainder of it goes in the trash. Okay? Generally, it's not a lot, maybe a quart of this and then, a couple of cups of that, because we have the systems in place, so we're, so that we're prepping for necessity and not for excess. All right? So, as we stated before, rule of storage, okay? First in, first out. Older deliveries, older product is used up before the newer product, okay? Very first step in FIFO, first in, first out. Date all products as they are received. Store the newer product behind the older product. So, a little repetitive, but to drill it in. Rules of refrigerated storage: cooked food stored above raw food to avoid cross-contamination. Keep cooked food items covered unless they are in the process of cooling, in which case they must be covered after being cooled to 41 degrees Fahrenheit. You in general have 4 hours to get hot food down to 41 degrees Fahrenheit. You need to get it to 70 degrees Fahrenheit within the first 2 hours, and in the second 2 hours, you need to get it down to 41 degrees Fahrenheit or below. How do we do this? If you have a large batch of soup, what do? We put it in smaller containers, okay? If we have a large, let's say, vegetable sink on our property, okay, we do what? We clog the sink, we fill the sink with ice and water, we put our pot of soup in, we get an ice wand or a cooling wand inside that pot of hot soup. What do? We stir. We circulate the product because we want the product to cool down. We want it to cool down fast, okay? Now, once we have that big pot of cold soup, do we take that big pot, cover it with plastic wrap, and stick it inside the fridge? No. Once again, smaller containers, covered, labeled, dated, and stored, okay? It should never be, oh, what's this? Because we have all had those moments where, we've made something for the kids, or we've gone out, and you get takeout and you have leftovers, and then all of a sudden you've got the mystery a couple of days later in the fridge. We all have had, well, in a professional environment you won't have this happen, but we all have had those opportunities where, okay, yeah, we had, we went and got something and then we kind of forgot about it in the fridge. And then we had that weird, funky looking fur covered item in the back on the shelf on the right. It happens. Okay? So, store foods away from dripping pipes. This is very important, all right? You should not see any type of condensation inside your refrigeration or freezing unit. However, some facilities may be a little bit older, okay? There may be a water line for the cooling system for your actual, refrigeration unit running through there. You don't want anything to really, fall onto your food products, whether it's fresh, whether it's cooked, okay? Generally, 9 times out of 10, contact the manufacturer of the actual refrigerator, or contact your local health department and say, okay, this is my situation. What company can I call so that they can wrap this particular pipe, this feed line, in insulation? Okay, so that it will not drip onto your product. All right? We don't have a lot of them in here, but a few pipes and stuff like that would run through a room like this. If this was dry storage, that could be a very, very big problem if any of these were water lines instead of power lines. Okay, would I be able to put shelving along these walls here for dry product if that was a water line? No, because it could leak and just cause all measure of wonderful little things. Freezer storage, of course, once again, similar refrigeration storage, first in, first out. Frozen food should be frozen solid, 0 degrees Fahrenheit or lower, okay? Once again, like refrigeration, wrap, label, date. Wrap, label, date. Wrap, label, date. All right? Allow adequate space between the containers and the units for proper air circulation. If everything is bunched up together, is it going to cool rapidly? Nope. Anybody ever notice that when you go to the grocery store? How many people here like ice cream? Really? Nobody likes ice cream? Okay, wake up, people. Come on. Aerobics time. Show of hands. How many of us like ice cream? Ice cream, gelato, sorbet. Okay? Helado de coco y peña. Come on. Right? So, when we go to the grocery store and you see the frozen food guy and he's loading more ice cream inside, the freezer units. Okay, great. So I will need to go and rinse this off. All right, but what do we notice? If you notice, it's sealed packages, usually 5 or 6, half gallons of ice cream in a sealed package, but there's space in that packaging. There's generally space inside that freezer, all right? But generally, what happens when they first put it in there? It's kind of soft, right? Because they have to take it from the main freezer in the back, bring it through the catacombs and, in a hot room before they get it out into the supermarket floor, before they get it into that cooler. So, am I going to want to get one of those fresh ones that he just put in there? I'm going to do what? I'm going to generally try to move 1 or 2 things, but what do you notice that the frozen food guy is doing? Generally, he has a cart. He's pulling what? The older product out, putting it on the cart, taking the fresher product that he's about to, throw in there, putting it in the back, and then shelving his old product. So, could I now, after waiting 5 minutes or so, walk up, just open up that, freezer and just go boom and throw that container of ice cream in my shopping cart? Yes, because 9 times out of 10, it's going to be what? Hard as a rock. Okay? However, if the environment is too crowded, is it going to take a very, very, very long time for that new product to freeze again or to get down to a better temperature? Yes. Dry storage, basically, first in, first out will apply here as well, depending on the type of product. You want to make sure it is a dry environment. You don't want excess humidity. You don't want any type of pipes running over things. It should be well lit and well ventilated. No evidence of rodent infestation. No cardboard boxes. Well ventilated, well built shelving. The industry standard nowadays is stainless steel, or they call them wire racks or wire shelves. Okay? They're moderately priced, but they're modular, so if you need to change and manipulate the environment, for larger containers and smaller containers, you can. Okay? And they're also certified by the Department of Health. You really do not want to have wood shelving in your storage area. Can anybody guess why? Bingo. Roaches. Insects. Okay? Ants and roaches love wood. Love wood. Okay? So you can have all the cardboard, you can have all the cardboard out and in the trash. Everything's, in bins and things like that, and vermin-proof containers and everything. Could you still find cucarachas running around? Yes, because your shelving is wood. Okay? Go with wire shelving. All right? Try not to have windows in your storage area. Sunlight does a lot of damage. Sunlight also lets what in? Heat. Okay? Anybody ever buy a storage space at like Your Self Storage or CubeSmart? What's the number one thing they pride themselves on? That they have a climate-controlled environment. All right? Your dry storage room should be a climate-controlled environment. Okay? Now, do not go spending exorbitant money on air conditioning and things of that nature, but if you can have it in an area of your facility where you have no windows, then that bodes better for you, okay? Because even if, how we're in this room here, even though we have shades and we can block out light, are we still going to get heat energy generating from those windows? Yes. Okay? Are we going to have to try to manipulate the environment by using things to cool it down? Yes. Do not store garbage in a dry food storage area. I have seen it done. Not a good thing at all. One, the smell. Second, garbage attracts what? Insects, rodents. Okay? Not putting it like this, but we've all seen, on trash day by our houses, homes and things like that, or we go by business late at night if we're out, hanging out in the city or in the suburbs, and you see the rats doing the Olympic trials and stuff like that. The roaches are having a track meet. Okay? It is what it is. Most restaurants nowadays have a separate refrigerator or walk-in unit for keeping the garbage, or they have a designated area inside the facility before it goes into the dumpster. Because one, certain ordinances state that you can't put garbage outside in the dumpster, usually until after 10 or 11 o'clock at night. All right. Number two, if you have a storage area for garbage inside your restaurant, you want to make sure it's a sealed environment and a cool environment, because what happens when something gets hot? It smells. Okay? The colder the environment is, the less of the smell, right? Because less of the aldehydes that are naturally present in these things that would give you that aroma, so to speak, they're kept cooler, so they're not being activated. Okay? But if you had a bag of garbage in a hot room, it's like, whoo! You get one whiff and it's like, yeah, no. Okay? So, cold environment, double bag it, please. Okay? Wear gloves, dispose of things properly, sterilize, wash, clean, and sanitize the storage area. Wash, clean, sanitize yourself after the fact. Okay? Question. Uniforms in the workplace. Should they be worn to work, or should you change into them at work? Change into them at work. Okay? It is actually against the health code to wear your work uniform outside of work. All right? One main reason, how many people here take public transportation? Right? If you're caring for kids and you're wearing a shirt with the company logo or a smock, whew, and you have to take, let's say, the train and then get on the bus to go 4 stops, right. We have touched the pole that half of New York City has touched. We have brushed up against at least, 300 people, because even though we only brush up against 5 or 6, they've brushed up against a myriad of other people as well. Yes? Of course. Storage in ice. Essentially, when you're storing in ice, generally you're going to be, small batches of food stored on top of ice as you are preparing them. Okay? Now, when you're dealing with a situation of fruits and vegetables, let's say on a salad bar or a display, of course, yes, you're going to be storing those particular items on top of the ice. But once again, it's going to be small batches out there for service. Someone is going to come along and evaluate and, change out the ice, add fresh ice, make sure that the drainage system is working on on the display and what have you. However, when it comes to stuff like that, what is the number one cause of someone potentially getting sick? Children. Children and short people. You go to a salad bar, one of those open buffets, what is that, Golden Corral? Yeah, Golden Corral. Okay? You ever notice most salad bars are not really geared for tall people? Usually they're made for people of what they deem as average height. So generally people that are 5'10" and shorter. Okay? However, not being funny, if you're shorter than 5'4", is that sneeze guard here? No, that sneeze guard is now here. That sneeze guard on a person that's 5'4" or shorter, it's now at their eye level. So if all of a sudden, achoo, is that blocking anything from getting on that food? That wasn't a real sneeze. All right? Is it blocking anything from getting on that food? No. Okay? Once again, we've got kids. We're out at the buffet. What is the number one thing kids want to do when they're at that buffet? Do they want to eat the food? No. They see the dessert station, they want to grab the Jell-O. They want to grab the chocolate cake. They want to grab the pie. They want to grab the cheesecake. But then they see the granddaddy of all things. Oh, it's an ice cream machine. Okay? Except for one thing. What did we learn about our ice cream trucks here in the city? All of our ice cream trucks here in the city are regulated by what? The Department of Health and Mental Hygiene. They have a letter grade because someone finally got on board a little over a decade ago and said, hey, why are so many people getting sick after they get ice cream off the ice cream truck? Because the soft serve units, and we have to admit, it's good ice cream. Really hasn't changed that much in the past 3+ decades. But what happened? There are rubber gaskets in those machines that need to be cleaned on a daily basis. Okay? They are top-loading frozen dessert units, which basically means you lift a little cover off the top, You pour your mix in, you turn the machine on to produce. Within half an hour, you've got soft serve ice cream. But the lid has to be cleaned. There's a gasket around that lid for the main holding, area, unit, or cistern if you want to call it that, to be cleaned. The interior of that unit has to be cleaned. Okay? The pull handles, the extruder, everything on that unit has to be cleaned. 99% of it can be clean and spotless and sanitary. All you need is one dirty gasket with that much mold on it or that much slime or dirt. Can people potentially get sick for days on end? Yes, they can. Because that's now your bacterial focal point, so to speak. All right? So, it is 12:30. Take a half. See you at 1 o'clock. All right? I can tell you right now, if anybody's going to the deli over here, you're probably going to watch and see if they wash their hands and if they put on gloves. It's going to happen. Okay? You're going to reach inside to grab that bottle of juice or soda. You're probably going to press it up against your face to feel if it's really, really cold. Okay? It's going to happen. Oh, case in point, not being funny. All right? Technically, the most sensitive area for telling temperature on your body is actually your lips. All right? Do not put the bottle to your lips or the can because we don't know if they've washed it off, things like that. If you have hand sanitizer, do not wipe it off with hand sanitizer because we're actually going to talk about that when you come back. All right? And about how it's not as effective and good as you think it might be. All right? See you guys in a half. Oh, you need to sign in? Yes, hold on. We have to get a few more copies done. All right, give me 1 sec. What did you do? No. Oh, yeah, but my mic is on. I think my mic is still turned on. Yes, it is. I can see my little meter going there. Okay, so if anyone is still watching the feed, we're taking a break for half an hour. If you hear any crunching, I'm having a granola bar. Got to keep the protein up middle of the day. Hello. I would say about 12.